Welcome back to our insane baking day marathon.
My back hurts.
Where I try to stock my freezer and fridge with lots of easy snack and breakfast items. Last time you saw Blake's adventure to Costco and the start of our baking day, and this really was a lot of work.
I'm getting tired. Water break.
But now let's jump back in and see where I'm at in my list and find out if I really can finish everything I'm hoping to make.
Alright, so the first batch of Dutch pancakes are complete. The second batch is in the oven. We have the gummies in the oven. They're not in the oven. The gummies are in the fridge.
Yes.
And they'll probably take 30 minutes to fully firm up, and then I'll take them out and chop them. And then I've got the date balls are ready to go in the fridge. And so I just have to decide what I want to make next. I think this is usually the point where I get a little bit tired, the kitchen's a mess. How much time do I have until the kids need me again? So I have to decide, do I want to make muffins? Do I want to make waffles? Can I try to make both? I don't know. But for now, we can check off what I've got on my list. Complete. All right. Gummies, Dutch pancakes, date balls. I kind of want to do waffles because we've made a lot of muffins recently, and so if I don't get to those, the kids will be fine. But it would be nice to have something for breakfasts. So I think I'm gonna do that. But first, I gotta tidy up a little bit from the mess that we made so far. Okay, so I want to make waffles today because my kids have been asking for homemade waffles a lot, and they also love the ones that you get from the store in the freezer, but I haven't been buying them. And so I thought I can look up a recipe and I can make some protein waffles that will be a little bit more nutritious, that we can just make a bunch of and stick in the freezer. But I've never actually made this specific recipe before, so it's a little bit of an experiment. We'll see how many it makes. The recipe says 8, but this is a big waffle maker, so we'll see how many it makes. I think I'll try a double batch first and see how the recipe turns out. So I'm measuring in 2 cups of Greek yogurt, and then it calls for eggs, egg whites. I don't know if I'll actually do egg whites. I may just do full eggs. Honey, vanilla, flour, and baking powder. So again, I said this is a new recipe for me. That's why I'm not sure about the egg whites. I'd rather not go to the effort of it. I'll just do all regular eggs and hopefully it works out. But there's 2 cups of yogurt. So there's 2 eggs. 3. And 4. And then I need 2 cups of milk, but first, there's the 4 dozen Dutch pancakes.
Beautiful. Delicious.
Alright, so I'm going to put 2 cups of milk here. I don't know if I have any measuring cups left that are clean.
But you don't measure.
I know, but I do it.
Just use a class.
Big liquids. It's okay, I'll just rinse this out. I just have to take over. That's the thing with making multiple recipes. Use all of your cups and pans and bowls. And at the end of that one, alright, there's 2 cups of milk. It calls for a 1/4 cup of honey. I'm gonna do maple syrup instead. Since this is the first time I'm making this recipe, that's why I'm actually gonna measure. Next time I might not. So there was, since I'm doubling it, a half a cup of maple syrup. Put in a couple teaspoons of vanilla. And then calls for 2 tablespoons, so double 4 of melted butter. Yes, this is going to be our oil for the recipe. While that's melting, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing. Okay, and then into another bowl, I'm going to put flour, baking powder, and salt. And then I will mix all of it up together. I'm doing 4 cups of flour. And 2 tablespoons of baking.
Put me in the dishwasher.
Use this one for you. And half a teaspoon of salt. Alright, so the recipe says to just gently fold all of the ingredients together. Let's see how that works. I'm going to put the butter in now. Mix it just a bit. And then
Next, I stirred in the dry ingredients to finish up the waffle batter. Just a reminder, this is a double batch. I usually end up making double batches these days for most everything, because if I'm already putting the time and effort in, I want to have plenty to save for later.
this has been heating up while I was working. Our waffle maker doesn't sit very flat. It's a little bit old and janky, but it'll work.
This recipe was new to me, so I wasn't really sure how much the waffles would spread or fluff up. So it was definitely an experiment the first time around, trying to figure out how much batter to use. In my kitchen, I try to keep things low pressure, so what happens next really wasn't the end of the world.
What do you think? Does that look good?
That's it.
That's pretty thick. Uh-oh. It's too much. Oh no! Maybe it's thinning out now that the batter's warming up. Maybe I should have used less to begin with.
I will admit, I haven't used this waffle maker in a while either, so it took a few careful tries, but I finally got the first batch of waffles out.
So we'll let them cool and put some in the freezer. But
You can taste one?
Blake's gonna do a taste test. You good?
Delicious. It's not like crispy, but I think that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if they go in the
Because
freezer,
they're like yogurt.
but when they go in the freezer and get microwaved, they're not gonna be crispy, but you can like toast them.
They taste hearty though.
Good. All right, well, I'm gonna put less batter this time, so that hopefully we don't spill. We'll see. They might be too small. There we go. Alright, so while these are going, I'm gonna try to start mixing up the pumpkin muffins that I like to make. And these are kind of, I call them like a no measure pumpkin muffin, because I, again, don't like to measure. I'm just gonna dump a lot of ingredients in. But I do have a recipe that I will share later at the end of the video or put it in the description. But for today, I'm just gonna be dumping in pumpkin, butter, some more whole yogurt, flax, protein powder. I like adding in as much ingredients as I can that's going to provide nutrition, bump up the protein. So I'm going to get a bunch of that done. Hopefully, I don't know how much energy I have. Maybe I'll make 2 dozen and just stop with that. But if I've got 4 dozen of the Dutch pancakes, 2 dozen muffins, probably I'm going to say 12 or more waffles, then I think that we should be good. We'll stick a lot of it in the freezer, save it for the next couple weeks, and then especially over the cold week coming up that we have. All right, so I'm gonna melt the butter for the pumpkin muffins first, but I'm gonna be using a bigger bowl than this. So I'm just gonna melt the butter in here, and then you'll see what I'm doing. I will need a full cup. Alright, this looks like it's getting not as spread out as the other one, but it's also not leaking, so we'll try to find a happy medium to make my waffles look right. Alright, so I got about 8 waffles going so far. Probably have another half of the batch I can still make, so we'll probably end up with 16 or so. Here's my bowl for the pumpkin muffins. I've got a cup of melted butter, and just gonna make sure it's all the way melted. I had to get a drink of water. All right. Cup of melted butter. And then I'm gonna do 2 cans of pumpkin puree. I like to use this 100% pumpkin, organic. Walmart did not have both kinds. They didn't have 2 of the kind that I wanted. They just replaced it with this. So I'll be using 1 of each for the muffins today.
If you've seen my pumpkin pie video, you'll know I've had some bad experiences opening cans of pumpkin puree. So just remember to be careful with those sharp edges. Thankfully, today I didn't have any problems. Since this recipe is a dump and go kind of muffin, I will be sure to put a recipe card at the end so you can screenshot. Here, I'm just mixing together the 2 cans of pumpkin puree and 1 cup of melted butter.
All right, 8 eggs. Beautiful. This will be my last batch of waffles to put in. Lid on all of them. pumpkin muffins. So we've got butter, pumpkin, vanilla. I usually put around half to a whole cup of milk. It's just had butter in it before. And then I'm gonna scoop in some yogurt, add a little more protein. And like I said, I have a recipe I can give at the end, but I'm not gonna be super exact right now. This is a large batch muffin. I'm just amazed that my baby is asleep right now. She's not been taking more than a 30 or 40 minute nap. I did not expect us to get as far as we had got with all the baking. Okay, I'll also put in some maple syrup for the sweetener. And I'm gonna also put some collagen powder. People like to bake with different types of protein powders. This is what I like to have on hand. I don't think it changes the texture or the taste at all. And I like that it adds just another little boost for my kids. I like to mix it in when it's still fairly liquidy because it will absorb better. Here's the flax. Just gonna use up what I have left. Okay, and then the last things that we need to add would be flour. Sometimes I'll do oat flour or quick oats, and baking powder and baking soda. And that's just gonna bring it all together. Again, I'm just gonna dump and then check the texture in a little bit. If I feel like it needs more flour, I'll add more flour. Do about a spoon of each of these. Oh, and I have to check the waffles. Last batch there. Some spilled out already, so. Alright, there's the waffles.
Add them to the stack.
I'm getting tired.
I'm getting tired.
It's warm in here. Okay, I think the texture, it's a little bit soft, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more flour. And then I'm gonna measure out 2 dozen, and I like to make these pumpkin chocolate chip muffins, but I'll put the chocolate chips in at the end because they're more easily measured out that way. Whew, what a break. Mermaid's working hard too. Okay, I'm just gonna get these cleaned out. I'm not washing them all the way in between the Dutch muffins to the muffins, but these pans are great, they don't stick, so we'll be fine. Especially my newer one. Works like a dream. Alright, chocolate chips.
You honestly could mix your chocolate chips into the batter before filling the muffin tins, but the reason I don't is that I find it easier to get a few chocolate chips into each muffin this way. My kids would definitely complain if one got a muffin with only 2, while another ended up with 10, and since I'm trying to make these healthy anyway, I just like to sprinkle 4 or so into each one.
Alright, these are going in. Woo! hurts. Oh, we're almost done. I mean, we'll still have to do some dishes after this. But I think I have about 1 dozen of batter left, so we'll have 3 dozen of the pumpkin muffins. I'm gonna start cleaning up. Put some things away. I try to clean as I go as much as I can because it really does help with timing. Especially since I don't need any of these ingredients out anymore.
Again, I like to show our messy kitchen and the process of cleaning up because this is reality. Teamwork goes a long way to get all of this done. At this point, we were coming to the end of our baking marathon. I had finished 2 dozen pumpkin muffins seen here and had about 1 dozen more to bake. My baby was up from her nap, which meant needing to carefully balance her while getting those muffins out of the hot oven. Mom life means I often have my hands full, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Alright, so I'm pulling the gummies out and I'm going to cut them and put them into a Tupperware to save for later, but I have a little helper here who would like to eat one, so let's see how they turned out. I'm just doing kind of cubes.
Jiggle?
Does it jiggle like Jell-O?
Yep, jiggle. Jello. I'm gonna be one from
Let's try it together. Ready? Try it.
Yum yum. Yummy yum. Yum Jello.
Alright, I'll probably cut these a little bit smaller. You will see like the goji berry powder did settle to the bottom. Sometimes I won't use goji berry powder just because of that. I don't think it affects the taste, but it did settle to the bottom some, so I cut them this size. Some of the little scraps off the bottom, okay? Alright, so we made it. My baby slept the whole time, which was great. I just have my final batch of muffins in the oven, but I'm really proud of myself that we got so much made. I ended up with 3 dozen of the pumpkin chocolate chip muffins, 4 dozen Dutch pancakes, which we'll use for breakfasts, probably like 16 to 18 waffles. My kids are really wanting to eat some for lunch, so that's probably what they'll do. A bunch of date balls, which we use for snacks, and then the homemade healthy gummies that we will just eat on a daily basis. So I feel pretty good. I think I was not anticipating getting all of it done, and I was glad we did. And then I actually feel like, oh, maybe there's something else I could bake. What else can I get in? But I think now little one would like me to hold her more. So we will call that good for the baking day, but I feel great that we have so much to put in the freezer. Yes. Are you glad about it? Ugh. Muffins and waffles.
It really is so satisfying to see all of my hard work at the end of a long baking day like today. Here's my pumpkin muffin recipe, so pause now and grab a screenshot. If you check the description, I also have a free download of 5 of my most loved baked good recipes.
Alright, these 3 are going to go in the fridge for the week.
I decided to freeze the waffles with parchment paper in between them so that they wouldn't get stuck together. The whole point of preparing these breakfast items is to give my 7-year-old, who is an early riser, something easy he can warm up in the toaster on his own. If they were stuck together, he would probably need our help.
Whoa, yummy.
Waffle?
Waffle.
Waffle? Some for me. Alright, I'm going to put one of these bags of Dutch pancakes, and I'll put one of these bags of waffles in our upstairs freezer, and then I'm going to put the rest in our downstairs freezer. Alright, some of this taken downstairs. Judy, can you grab the door for me?
Uh-huh.
and then close it so Eden doesn't follow us down the stairs. And we got our freezer. All right, time to close it up.
But wait, there's more. You might have thought this baking marathon was over, but I still need to make dinner. So I decided to use some of the chicken from the one Blake got at Costco to make a chicken pot pie with a homemade crust, of course. The next day, as the snow was falling, I started simmering the rest of the chicken in a pot to make bone broth for soup. We also enjoyed homemade pancakes for breakfast.
Time to chop some wood.
There's something so cozy about a real fire on a snowy day. We all gathered round and snuggled up in between visits outside to play in the snow. My bone broth was so hearty and delicious, and I made chicken noodle soup with it, which felt like the perfect ending to our snowy day. The kids and I also whipped up a quick batch of rolls to go with the soup, which I teach you how to make in another video, so check out the description below. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you join me in my kitchen again soon.